Welcome to video number 2. Only this time I'm not going to be speaking about grammar, or maybe incidentally, but not purposefully. The issue that I'm going to discuss today is why students study. Some students say that they want to know English, and that may be true of a few of them who are, say, polyglots or simply interested in languages. But for the most part, people study because they need English as a tool. And as a tool, you don't actually need to love it. I don't love a hammer, or this light that's shining on me, or the computer itself that's recording me now. They're just tools. I use them, and I toss them aside. Well, that's what languages are, basically. They're tools of communication, and that's an idiomatic structure in itself. But why a student studies is more important than if a student studies, because if a student studies for the wrong reasons, he or she probably will not learn, and may even be hostile to the idea of studying, which could possibly create a memory block and force them to waste their time, in effect. So, I often ask students, in fact I always ask students, if they are studying English because they want to or because they have to. And if they have to, I want to know the reason. I want to know if it is valid, if it's just because it's expected of me, or because English is the international language. Yeah, maybe so, but Steyr is the largest producer of hardware or of basic hand tools. It doesn't mean that I have to run out and buy their products because they're so large. Steyr is the largest producer of hand tools. Oh my gosh, I'm going to run out and buy some today. I need a hammer? No, I don't. I've got one. I need a tape measure? No, I don't. I've got one. Well, basically speaking, I need English. No, you've got a language. Okay, do you need English, really? If you don't plan to work in an international firm, if you don't plan to study abroad, especially if you don't actually plan to publish in English, quite frankly, a lot of people waste their time going abroad to study. They come back with their whole new skill set, and they don't use it. In fact, here in Kazakhstan, the problem is so extreme that the Bolshoi Scholarship Program, it's actually a grant, not a scholarship, anyway, has had to open up offices to find work or placement for students who've returned because there's simply nothing for them. So many students around the world, whether it's here in Kazakhstan or in the US, are overtrained, overeducated. They have more skills than they need and actually may never use that knowledge in any of their practical work. So I have to ask students, if you don't have a true love of languages, which most people don't, why do you want to study with me? Why do you want to learn English? I mean, especially with me. It's as Jack Nicholson once said, "How do you know it's nice to meet me? I'm an asshole." Well, that's basically what I am. I'm an asshole teacher because I teach English for students to actually learn the language. I often joke with students that I trick them into learning English by preparing them for a test. The test is just a means of teaching for me. In fact, there's a paradigm in teaching called tests that teach, and that's what I do. If I teach a student or prepare a student for the IELTS or the TOEFL or the GRE, the GMAT, the SAT, whatever, I'm actually teaching them English. Now, that gets us back to the first point. Why learn English? Do they need to know English? And then they say, well, I want to study abroad. Well, once again, do you really need to study abroad? If the profession requires a very high level of education, then that could be true. But will that individual actually move in his or her career? Or will he or she come back and do, instead of real research work, technician work in a laboratory, or will he or she become part of the government, which is a which is a huge problem. I mean, let's face it, so many people in the government here have been educated abroad, and they don't apply those skills at all to their work. Okay, so why would somebody need to go get a degree abroad in public administration if they weren't actually going to use that knowledge? I have an acquaintance who used to work with me at KEMEP and then at USCO, who had a degree from the U.S. in public administration, and he never actually used those skills, not in government work. He came to work at KEMEP as an assistant, and then I brought him into USCO as a branch manager. So basically speaking, it's as one person once said, a university degree only shows that somebody is trainable. Well, quite frankly, a local degree can show that. So, why do you want to know English? Ask yourself that before you speak with me or any other teacher. And if the answer is for education or for work, ask yourself if you really are going to be in a position in the future to need English. If you're just getting an education to say, I studied abroad, and to not actually use that knowledge in any practical way is a waste of time and a waste of money. Okay? If you learn English for a job that never requires you to use English, or never more than a few emails, then have you not wasted time and money? Now it sounds funny that here I am, I sell this service in order to earn an income so that I can feed myself and my children, and I'm telling students to go away. And I've told a lot of students that I can't work with them. Okay, even students who had a high enough level to study with me, because they had no focus, no target, no goals. And quite frankly, that is a huge problem here in Kazakhstan. A bunch of people who do what's expected of them, but they don't know why. And if they know why, they say, well, it's expected of me as a societal Moor, okay? Then I have to ask, is this a society that you want to protect? Well, they say, well, we need to develop. But if you're doing something because it's expected of you, then you're not really developing, okay? You should set your own expectations. You should say what you want. If you don't want to change things, then there is no reason to study English, to go abroad, to work for a foreign company, to even talk about development, if you're not willing to do it. If you're not willing to risk yourself to change society, then what I'm going to teach you, and it's a mixture of English and logic, because quite frankly there is a lot, there are a lot of illogical aspects to the culture here and to even the language. I mean, talking about Russian, for example, you could say «Мне нравится шоколад, потому что это вкусный», which would be correct logically. But many people say «шоколадный вкусный, потому что мне нравится». It sounds like chocolate is tasty because I like it. Well, the first case would be correct, the second wouldn't, and that's a logical error. Okay? So, quite frankly, there are many logical errors that are not just found in languages, and of course English has its own things, but in society itself. Okay? So you can't talk about preserving society and developing at the same time. And I'm not saying that American society is perfect. Far from it. I spent half my time writing about how American culture could change, talking about the problems of militarized police, a joke political system, of laws that are not just antiquated but harmful and were even designed in the past to discriminate against a particular culture, about America's innumerable wars abroad, and about a silly, dying culture of overeating, of not exercising, of entertainment, of poor education, which sounds funny when we think about how the U.S. university system is so great. Remember that the high school, or secondary and primary school systems are very bad, and that many of the higher level students in master's and doctoral programs come from abroad. I've heard that in the sciences it's up to 75%. So, basically speaking, I am not defending American culture. What I am saying is that many people are addicted to what they call stability, even when that stability creates instability, such as in the economy here. The economy in Kazakhstan is one roller coaster ride after another. So 1999, 2009, and then 2015. Okay, it's insane. Okay, so you have to ask yourself: are culture and the economy connected? Yes, they are. So you can't change one without the other. You can't have one without the other. If you're going to defend an antiquated culture, you're defending an antiquated economy. So if you want to come study with me, okay, and learn the Western ways, then you have to give up some cultural defensiveness. Okay, I'm going to say, yes, the way you're taught in school is by rote, but you can't learn that way, especially a language. Okay, not unless you're taught that way, like, say, learning Russian and Kazakh at the same time as a child. Okay, you have to learn how to step outside of the way that you think in order to learn a new language. Okay, so if you want to move ahead, then you have to leave something behind. Okay, so I really don't have much respect for culture, whether it's mine or other people's. I think that culture needs to be fluid. It needs to develop. It needs to remove those harmful bits, especially the bits that were designed to keep some person or group of people in control, to the detriment of everybody's development or benefit. Okay, and quite frankly, in American and Kazakhstani culture, there are quite a few rules, laws, expectations, protocols that perpetuate a system that is harmful to most people. Okay, so if you want to learn English, then do it because there is some goal at the end. Okay, there's some ultimate purpose. There's the scientific research and publication in key journals. There's international business and developing along the lines of best practices. Okay, there is, say, something that you want, something that is tangible, something that you can say, English is a process goal, and I'm going to get to that ultimate goal someday. I'm going to use this tool of English, and I'm going to get to my final goal. So, if you can say, yes, I know what I want, then come study with me. If you can't say that, then I would recommend not even wasting your time studying until you have some actual reason that you should give up your old views and embrace new ones. Thank you.